All right, everybody, welcome to a very special live episode of Elevate Your Grind. We're coming to you live from the Benzinga Capital Conference on 420 here at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami, Florida. It is a veritable who's who in the cannabis industry, and we're very happy to be here. I am joined by my guest today, Jonathan Sandelman of AYR. Thank you so much for joining me. I know you've been on these large stages here. I appreciate you coming to our little under the escalator lounge here.
Well, this is actually an environment I feel more comfortable in. So
Excellent,
thank
man.
you.
Well, I am very excited that AYR has made the leap into Florida. I know through acquisition, because this market needs more operators. And I've seen what you guys did. And personally, my personal story, I worked with Spring Big and I worked with you guys in Nevada.
Okay,
and I love what you did out there.
Right.
So I'm hoping to see some of that come to Florida. I'm really curious to know, like, you guys have done a very good job growing at a steady rate. I talked to Jen. She said you guys figured out your SOPs and then applied that and moved on to each new market. What do you guys see forward looking in Florida? You've got 21 competitors. You know, you've got one competitor, we all know who it is, that has more stores than they have anything else. You know, what do you guys see doing here? Because I think Liberty has some great locations, and I think with the power of you guys behind them, it should be a real game changer.
Well, thank you. So maybe we could take a step back and I'll tell you the investment case for our acquisition of Liberty. So what did we see, right? And this particular deal, you know, I've said this on other podcasts, investor calls. Florida was something that I was very focused on, right? And you think about it, let's step 2 minutes back from just cannabis, so thinking about just as an investment, right? Mm-hmm. So you had this state of 22 million people, you have tourist numbers of 75, 100 million a year, tremendous, right? And you had essentially one single dominant player who had roughly 75% of the market, right? So if I thought about that, you know, my real business is before cannabis was the investment business. I have a family office. So this is how we think, right? Very disciplined. So when there's one dominant player and the numbers are as large as the state of Florida is, it really begs you to examine what the business case or business thesis of that one dominant player, right? And when you think about investing, you first have to think about what you're good at. And you have to be honest, intellectually honest with you. And then say, okay, look at that dominant player and then look in the market and see what is missing and can you fill that void?
Interesting.
And if I can't invest, right? And so what we determined that was investing, what was the investable case, what we thought was missing, the void here, was very high quality flower.
Agreed.
So we're good at that, right? I've often made the bold statement and then, you know, my team says only you would say that. And I said, okay, I've been saying it for 35 years. It hasn't hurt me. Sometimes I miss, but sometimes I succeed. We want to be the largest scale as a company, the largest scale producer of high quality cannabis in the United States, right? Because we understand you can't be a CPG company unless you can deliver quality at scale.
Agreed. I think that's incredible. And you're 100% right. And I think, you know, from what I see, you guys are certainly taking steps in that direction through some of the acquisitions that I've seen. I'll bring up Tahoe Hydroponics. I was a fan of them well before the acquisition. So Nevada was a territory of mine for Spring Big. And then even coming in the door with Heisman being the VP of development, Tahoe Hydro, I looked at them in Nevada. And for some reason, a lot of people in the Vegas market, they knew the flower, but they didn't really know the company. And I was trying left and right to get introduced to them. And then all of a sudden I open up LinkedIn and I see I was friends with, I just talked to Jen and I saw that you guys did the acquisition. I'm like, well, there's at least I finally have a contact over there now. Right. But, you know, to me, they grew some of the best flower in Nevada year after year. They won every single contest. And then with you guys acquiring them, I only see you working towards that blueprint of high quality flower. Now, the interesting thing, I'd love to get your intake here, is I think there are a lot of people in the country, a lot of them, that can grow really good cannabis. I think there are a very small amount of people who have the ability to do that at scale.
You're right.
And that's the difference. It's the difference with everything. You know, at some point in time, Jack Daniels had to be the best bourbon in the country to get to the scale they are. Outback probably had some pretty good steaks at some point in time, right? So how do you guys take what you've done in some of these more smaller markets? Let's be honest, they're smaller than Florida,
Right.
and translate that here? Is it just the scale of growth? Like, you know, from an investment standpoint, if you try to be everywhere at once and just go toe to toe to Trulieve, I don't think that's a successful plan. I don't know. And
So let's think about two things, right? One is I've often said that the best acquisitions that Eric can make is when we get a great asset and great talent. Tahoe Hydro is the definition
yeah,
of what I've been talking about. And I appreciate that you recognize their quality. And I wouldn't limit their quality and their genetic bank to being just the best in Reno. I think they're some of the best cultivators in the United States. Now, number two is if you believe that you can't build a CPG company just by offering pretty boxes and catchy phrases, that CPG is built based on the consistent quality of the consumer experience. So I'll give you an example. The iPhone that you buy in LA, is it supposed to sound the same as the one you buy in Miami?
absolutely.
The Nikes you buy in San Francisco, do they run as fast as the ones that you buy in New York?
They should.
Right. So there is no CPG without the ability to deliver
Yes.
quality everywhere the consumer finds air. So that's our priority. You said a couple of things. We want to be the largest scale producer of quality weed. We always recognize that there are smaller scale producers of super high quality.
Yes.
Okay. But that's not who we're competing with. We also know that in every state we go, we have to enter in with the highest quality flower, because what we've come to understand that quality is a price mitigant. Okay. So Tahoe Hydro, let's go back. Perfect acquisition. We get a great asset, we get a very deep genetic bank, and we get one of the best cultivation teams in the United States.
Yes.
We have established what we call the AOS, the air operating system. We grow it, we cultivate it, we bucket, we dry it consistently wherever you'll find air. And the consumer experience will be exactly the same in each state. Now, it's not the box, it's what's inside the box.
Yeah.
You've heard me say this over and over again. We now have the ability to build the best quality flower, or amongst the best quality. There's plenty of great flower out there. Great flower in our box, delivering that consistent, excellent consumer nationwide. And that's how we feel we will build a national brand.
I think that's the best way to build a national brand, because right now we're at a spot in time where you have these California brands are going east. And I know as well as anybody else, they're all licensing deals, right? At Heisman, that's what we're built off of, except I have, you know, a cannabis sommelier and Ricky Williams that's able to curate an experience that people want to experience. So when you have a brand that's a genetics company and you don't know how their genetics grow in another state, listen, I'm going to call out Connected. I haven't had their stuff in Florida, so I don't know if it's good or not, but it's some of the best weed that you can get in California. And now they're with Trulieve here. I don't know if it's going to be that same quality that you would pay $75 for an eighth in California. I think that's something that every cannabis company struggles with. The fact to go and figure out how you have the consistency across every market, I think is what we're all striving towards, and what is going to build the national brands, because people want, like you said, the weed that you buy in California, you want it to be the same in New Jersey or New York and Florida. We don't have that right now in Florida. Florida, I will tell you, if you find quality weed, and I'm sorry for everyone who's watching this, it's either inconsistent and the next harvest that you get, it's not as good, or they don't always have it. Like I'll give, you know, Brady Cobb from One Plant was a friend of mine. And I will say at one point in time, I thought his Mac 1 was one of the best in the state. Not every single harvest of it though. When they had a good harvest, it was amazing. So, you know, for you guys to put in that operating system to get consistency is definitely the path forward.
So I don't know if you know, but we introduced Kind Flower last week.
I just got that marketing email.
So good. We're doing a good job.
Yep.
Kind in Nevada always sold for a premium.
Yeah.
Was always excellent flower. And so that's the first move to establish the premium market. There isn't a premium market here. There isn't a premium brand,
Yeah.
right? So the thing that excites us
There's
most,
no really brands here, actually, right?
That's what I'm trying to-
It's the dispensary brand.
so I agree. And so, look, generally we think that brands in cannabis are in their nascence. There isn't dominant brands
No.
yet, right? Those are all forthcoming. So we introduce our extract brand Origin. We introduce Kind Flower. You will see our next releases were coming out very quickly. We introduced what we think is the best technology website in this state. That website and introduction has helped our sales in this state, average basket size immediately up 20%, right? So we're going to bring quality here. I would love for you, if you're going to be in Florida, to visit us in Gainesville, where we grow,
Okay.
where Mark has taken over and has had several excellent harvests, and taste what we're growing. And then you come back to us or invite me on, either tell me, John, you finally, someone has done it, or you're on the path to doing it.
So as a Florida State Seminole alumni, I get a rash every time I go into Gainesville, but I would absolutely love that. I would absolutely love to do that. You guys, you know, you're the only store. I live in Boca Raton. You're the only store in Boca Raton, West Boca Raton unincorporated, but it's literally where I grew up. And it blows my mind to me. Just going off on a tangent here. That public shopping center where I used to go every day as a kid with my parents to get groceries, where the Dominic's Pizza is, where that Home Depot is, all of a sudden out in that parking lot is a Liberty Health Science, and it's a cannabis dispensary, and it blows my mind that it's right here.
So
And
stay tuned, because we are changing all the stores, and we have LOIs and leases for many more stores that I'm showing now. When the flower, to your point, is at the quality we want it at, the genetic diversity that we want, okay, and the consistency that you spoke about, all those stores get changed from Liberty to Air. What we didn't want to do is change them to Air and not have the Air quality and consistency.
So I've been very curious about that, and I was hesitant to ask you because I haven't really looked into it at all. But I'm like, you got a great brand in Air. Why haven't you changed it over yet? And it makes perfect sense. You want the first impression of Air to be a lasting one, and it's awesome. That is a beautiful move. I love the fact that you guys have brought the corporate office down here. You guys are all in on Florida.
Yes.
You know, Jen has been a gem on the show. We have other people on the show. I believe you guys, we got to update this, or have been a part of Cannabis Lab. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do here. One of my favorite brands, good friend of mine, is working with you guys already, Pete Furtado from Big Pete's Treats.
Right.
You guys brought my favorite edible here. So I will tell you, if I go get edibles in the state of Florida, I'm going to Liberty and I'm getting Big Pete's. I'm very excited you have them, and I'm very excited for the flower to come in.
So, you know, this is the first time I lived in a state where we actually had business in the state. And I was having a dinner party 2 weekends ago, and the head of sales for the state was looking at a lease with me. And I said, you know, I really don't have any of our products. And while the parents that I'm meeting here aren't coming out directly and asking me for vape pens and gummy bears, because they know that they have to go into our stores, there's a lot of hinting going on, and I'm super appropriate. So I just let that go. But I did think to serve Big Pete's at that dinner party for dessert, but chose to pass. But it is a fantastic product.
Fantastic product. I love Pete and Pete. They've been on the show. John, this has been a great conversation. I know you have a ton of stuff that you have to do here. This has been a great conference. I am very much, and I mean this with all sincerity, I'm looking forward to trying the flower. I'd love to take a tour of the grow.
When you want to go to Gainesville, I'll go with you.
Absolutely.
We put you in a hazmat suit so you don't have that FSU Florida State thing. Okay. But we go together because I'm so proud of what's being grown up there right now. I think if you saw it, you would understand what we're trying to do in every state.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Finally, something good coming out of Gainesville. So the best thing since Tom Petty. So, John, thank you very much for coming, man.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.